We usually celebrate Easter at the same time as our Jewish neighbors celebrate Passover. During their Passover celebration, their children raise questions. What does this celebration mean? Why is this night different from other nights? What's this all about? Questions are important in religion because religious mysteries can be taken for granted. Each generation has to question. So let's ask questions about the resurrection of Jesus. What does it mean? Now let's first ask the historians and the archaeologists. Did Jesus really exist? It's a question that has to be asked because some people today say he didn't exist, but almost unanimously, historians say Jesus existed and they can verify some facts of his life, especially his last days. Historians say yes, Pontius Pilate was the Roman procurator in Jerusalem in Jesus' time. He was responsible for the city's security and its loyalty to Rome. So if someone like Jesus appeared, making the claims he did, more than likely, Pilate would put him to death. Historians know how the Romans put people to death. There would be a quick trial, the scourging of Jesus by soldiers, his crucifixion outside the city just off the main road, would be what the Romans would do. They used death by crucifixion as a deterrent. This is what happens when you go against Rome. The details of Jesus' burial, the tomb sealed by a large stone, agree with what we know about Jewish burial practices then. Women prepared the bodies of the dead for burial. Some women going to finish burying Jesus because his burial was hurried before the Passover is historically plausible. But here we have to leave historians and archaeologists and listen to what the Gospels report when the women arrived at Jesus' tomb. The stone was rolled back. There's no body there. The women think someone has stolen it, and then they experience him. It wasn't just an empty tomb that proved he was not dead. He appeared to his disciples, now one, now in groups, at the tomb, in an upper room in Jerusalem, on the shore in Galilee, on the road, on a mountain. He broke bread with them. He spoke with them. He had risen from the dead. And they were overwhelmed with joy. He brought them peace, and he told them not to be afraid. He told them to bring his message to everyone, everywhere. They would follow him. We would follow him. Today we hear Mary Magdalene. We question her. Tell us, Mary, what did you hear and what did you see on the way? I saw the tomb of the living Christ. I saw the glory of Christ now risen. I saw angels who gave witness, the cloths that once covered his head and his limbs. Christ, my hope, has risen. We will go before him into Galilee. So from this Sunday on, all through the Easter season, we're going to hear others. Thomas, who's sure it isn't true, will tell his story next Sunday. All of them recognize the resurrection of Jesus as an act of God, who created the world, and in the resurrection of his Son, promises new life to the world and to all of us. They tell us their story so that we may believe. In his Ecclesiastical History of the English People, written in the 8th century, the Venerable Bede relates how Christianity came to the north of England. When missionaries from Rome arrived, the local king summoned his advisors to his court to ask whether he should let the missionaries into his kingdom. Some were in favor, others were not. It was winter, and there was a blizzard outside. But the king's court was nice and warm and well lit. And at one point, a bird came from a hole in the wall, fluttered a bit, and then flew swiftly through the hall and disappeared through a hole in the opposite wall. One of the king's advisors rose and said, "Sir, our life in this world resembles that bird. We come, we know not from where. For a while we enjoy the light and warmth of this world, and then we disappear back into the darkness without knowing where we're going. If these men can reveal to us something of the mystery of our lives, we must listen to them." The king gave the missionaries permission to tell their story, and we know the story they told. The story of the resurrection of Jesus tells us about the mystery of our lives, so let's listen to it. We can find it hard to give our minds to great mysteries like this. So many other things and thoughts have our attention. We get caught in the warmth and light of this small world where we spend a few years. Jesus Christ came from God. He told us we came from God and we're meant to go back to God. And He would go and prepare a place for us. Death itself does not stop us from that promise. That's the most important message we shall ever hear. Listen to it.